What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today, I'm going to talk about why there is a cause for concern with the Knicks, but it's not time to panic by any means. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! At the wall, he jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode. Now, let me just start off with the Knicks had a 9-game winning streak going. Just 4 games ago, it was snapped to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They won 9 straight games to close out December and open up January. This is the ebbs and flows of the NBA season. The NBA is a long season. It is 82 whole games. You are not going to be winning every single game. That's just not how the league works. So for the Knicks fans who want to say, oh, we're terrible this year, oh, this and that, they're close to 10 games over 500. They're third seeded in the East. I mean, what else do you want right now? Like, the Cavs are on an unheard of stretch. They're 31-4. They're in the midst of a 10-game winning streak. And the Celtics, I don't think the Knicks are supposed to be ahead of the Celtics. I don't think they're better than the Celtics by any means. Because they're not. They're not as deep. I don't know if you could say they're more talented, the Celtics that is, but I think they're just overall a better team. But that's not to knock the Knicks. They're still a contender. They've just kind of got to continue to figure it out. It's been a longer stretch of, trying to figure it out than I was expecting. And there has been stretches where I think the Knicks can win the championship. Like, you look at the second quarter versus Oklahoma City, and you say, that's a championship team right there. That's a team that could go all the way to the middle of June and be hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy. But the Knicks we've seen the last 3 games, that's not that team. It's not. And the thing with Tibbs' minutes and how much he's playing, guys, I can't get with it. It's like, the dude has been coaching in the NBA for, 15, 20 years at this point. He's not going to change his ways. So for the people who want him fired, I get your argument, but it's worked in the NBA so far. I know he hasn't won a championship, but that's because of injuries. And if you call the Knicks injuries from last year Tibbs' fault, you're just flat out wrong. The Knicks got injured in unlucky ways, in ways that it wasn't Tibbs' fault. It wasn't that he was just overworking the guys. Randall, yeah, he shouldn't have been playing in that situation, but it wasn't Tibbs' fault that Jaime Jaquez undercut him, and it was a dirty play. OG Anunoby's injury, I get he was playing a lot of minutes, but he went up and he came down weird. All the other injuries were in like normal minutes. So that argument just doesn't work. The thing that that gets me mad is, why isn't he playing Tyler Kolek and Pat Comdadia? Like, this is somewhere where he has to change his ways. This is an aspect of the game where what he's doing is not good enough. Because the Knicks, they're definitely playing too many minutes right now. I mean, Mikal Bridges should not have over 11 to 1,500 minutes in the beginning of January. That's just not how it should work. And there are guys on the bench that I think can contribute. I do really think that Tyler Kolek and Pat Comdadia could play solid minutes for the Knicks right now. But they want to store them away in the G League. They want to develop them like they developed Deuce McBride. And yeah, it worked with Deuce. But you're not really in a spot right now where you can wait 3 years to develop some guys that are going to be key contributors to an NBA Finals run. You're looking to make that run this year, next year. This isn't something that we're building for 4 or 5 years down the line. This is something that's supposed to be happening now. And It's not okay that Tibbs is like running these guys out here 45 minutes a night in January. You're not going to be successful like that. Like, you already see it these last 3 games. It's in a perfect example of why the Knicks need to play more players and expand the rotation. These guys are exhausted. Their legs are shot. It is January. This is January. What are they going to be like in April? They're already cooked. It doesn't make sense. When you have guys on the bench that are just sitting there wearing their warm-up outfits that aren't playing, it doesn't make sense. Like, you look at a team like the Thunder. They don't have too many young guys playing on that team. But at the end of the day, they play 10 to 11 players. The Knicks play about 3, maybe 4 guys off the bench. It's not going to work, and it hasn't worked in the playoffs for Tibbs. But why not try it now? Why not try to get these guys some minutes together? Why not try to play these rookies some minutes, see what you have in them, and then if they're not good, it's a game in January. It doesn't matter. At least you're learning something. But when you have to throw them in a game in May because everyone's hurt, that's not okay. Because these guys don't know what they're getting themselves into. These guys that are young don't know what it's like to play in the NBA, let alone an NBA playoff game when defenses are tightened up and the physicality is a lot higher. That's not how it should work for the Knicks, and that's not how it's going to work. But it is how the Knicks are going to do it, because Tom Thibodeau will not change his ways. And if that's the case, Leon Rose, get on the phone right now and make some calls. Make trades right now. You need 3 to 4. You need 3 to 4 pieces at the trade deadline that can really contribute. I told you I want Nick Richards from the Hornets. I've thought about bringing Alec Burks home. I wouldn't mind that too much. Cam Whitmore from the Rockets has been a name circulating over the past day or two. I wouldn't mind him. Marvin Bagley, maybe. Maybe you bring Jonas Valanciunas back. They're not bringing him back, but maybe you bring him to the Garden. There's a good amount of guys that can do it, that you can trade for. So Leon Rose, get on the phone and don't worry about the picks. Bring the Larry O'Brien home this year. Get the Knicks to a spot where you feel like they can outlast the Celtics in a 7-game series, where you think they can outlast the Thunder in a 7-game series. Because right now, I'll tell you this, they don't have enough. They're not contenders right now. They're not playing like it, but it's not time to panic. I'd much rather be going through this stretch in January where Leon Rose still has time to improve and this team is still evolving than go through it in the middle of April and into May. That's unacceptable if we're going through it then. It's so much better than we're going through it now. It's still considered growing pains. It's still considered, these guys are pretty new playing with each other. I get they've been playing for a couple months now, but this is the first season. This whole first season is going to be an evolution. It's going to be a process that Knicks fans aren't really used to, because Knicks fans haven't had new superstars and 2 additions to the starting lineup that are supposed to be top-of-the-line players in a long time. They haven't had additions to the starting lineup of the magnitude of a Karl Anthony Towns, of the magnitude of a Mikal Bridges. These guys take time to get integrated into the lineup. And you see it's happening. Mikal Bridges has been shooting so much better since that game the day after Thanksgiving against the Hornets, where he was just awful. There's no other way around it. He's been playing so much better. But the bottom line is, you're going to need more guys. That's the point of this episode. To tell Knicks fans that it's not time to panic, because the Knicks have time to evolve their team. The Knicks have time to evolve the roster. And they have time to make trades. That's the big thing. There is still time for them to make trades. I mean, you don't have Karl Anthony Towns right now. Deuce McBride has been out the last couple games. So these guys that are such huge parts of the team, they're not there. And you expect to win those games on the back half of a back-to-back of one of the most intense NBA games in the regular season I've seen in a long time. Because that's what the Thunder game was. It was the most intense basketball game in the regular season I've seen in a long time. And I know you had Karl-Anthony Towns for the majority of that game, but he was shot. Everybody was shot. And it just brings it back to the fact that the Knicks need to make trades, and they need to acquire valuable players that are going to be integral parts of this playoff run and hopefully NBA Finals run that the Knicks are looking to go on in May. These playoffs are when the Knicks are supposed to do it. This year, next year, the year after that, and maybe one more year. That's how long you have. That's your window. That's your championship window, which the Knicks are right in the thick of things right now. They're still in a good spot. They're third in the East. Let me look at the standings. For the Knicks, they're third in the East right now. They're close to second. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. They're 24-13, 3 games back of second place, 8 back of first place. They're a game and a half ahead of fourth place, the Magic, with Paolo Banchero coming back. So yeah, they've got to get things right, because once Banchero comes back, the Magic are going to look a lot more scary. So the Knicks have to figure things out, and they have to start winning basketball games again. Let's look at their upcoming schedule. Coming up soon, they play the Raptors as I'm recording this. It's a close game in the first quarter. Then they play OKC, then they play Milwaukee. You got to split those games. I don't care what it takes. You have to split those games, and you have to beat the Raptors tonight. Then you got Detroit, Philly, Minnesota, and Atlanta. All 4 of those teams are winnable games. I know Anthony Edwards has been looking scary over the past half a week or so, couple games. But Detroit, they're about 18-18, somewhere around there. You should beat them. The Sixers, we own the Sixers. I'm not worried about that one. That one's away, but it's basically another home game because we know what Knicks fans do in Philly. They take over. That's plain and simple. But then after that, you play Minnesota. Like I said, Ant's been looking a lot more dangerous. But I think you could be able to win that game as well. You should win that game. Josh Hart just left the game with an injury. That's why I started stuttering. I'll keep an eye on that. And then you play Atlanta. You got to win that game. After they've beaten you twice this year, after Trae Young rolled the dice on your logo, after what a terrible loss you guys had to them in the first couple weeks of the season, you have to beat the Hawks. Non-negotiable. That's a win. Must win. Then you play the Brooklyn Nets at Barclays. That's a win. Primetime game. We know. We own the Nets. Then you play Sacramento. Sacramento's at some crossroads right now. That's the new head coach or interim head coach. That should be a win as well. And then that's really the end of the stretch. Then things get a lot harder. You play Memphis, Denver, LA, Houston, Toronto, Boston. That's a tough 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a tough 6-game stretch right there. So stack wins over these next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. And then I'm okay with pretty much splitting that 6-game stretch, if you will. But the Knicks have a lot of time left. There's still about a month and a half till a little bit less than a month and a half to the trade deadline. And then, like, once you hit the trade deadline, you improve your team, and then it's a sprint to the finish line. It's a sprint to the playoffs. It's a sprint to when you're supposed to win the championship. That's the goal. Win a championship this year. Get Cat healthy. Get Deuce healthy. I mean, I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns should be playing in this basketball game. He still looks injured out there. So why not rest him against a team that you should beat by 10? You should beat them by more than 10. It's the Raptors. I get RJ and Quicker back, but it's the Toronto Raptors. They have no culture. They have no core. You should beat them by 1,000,000. So this is a game that I think they could have rested Cat and get him locked in for Friday night, a big matchup again against the Thunder, rematch from 1 week ago at that point. So I'm excited, man. I think there's still there's so much time left in this NBA season. There's so much time. The Knicks are just going through a down right now. In the NBA, there's ups and there's downs. The Knicks are just on a down right now. They'll get it going again. It's been like, it was a bad shooting stretch. The guys were a little bit tired. They're at home. This is a big time homestand, and then they play a lot of their next games at home. So you got to just keep winning, keep playing good basketball at home, and yeah, it'll balance out. That's the NBA. All right, that's gonna do it for this episode. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and following / subscribing down below. If you want to have your voice played on the Sports Pod, you can leave me a voicemail with your sports questions and takes at 848-305-8073. And last but not least, make sure you check out the links in the description below to check out my socials. And make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.